Well, good evening, everyone. It's lovely to be with you, and thanks for your welcome, as always, Mike and the team here. I have to choose very carefully what I will put my back into in terms of projects and new things. Like all of us, we have to focus in on the things where we feel the Lord is calling us and gives us the best opportunity to bless others for the kingdom. And some time ago now, I was introduced to the work of Safe Families for Children. And I think it's becoming clear to me that I should put my back into this. Sammy will share briefly in outline the work of Safe Families. It's a Christian charity, strong Christian governance, a very clear direction, and with a mission and a purpose, with real liberative potential. It's a beautiful work of the kingdom, and I commend it to you. Right at the heart of the work of Safe Families for Children are the children themselves and those around them. Safe Families has a focus on those children who are approaching being taken into care. And the intervention from pilots in other parts of the country and from projects that are now well established in North America show that the impacts are transformative. So I'll hand over to Sammy. I'll come back at the end.
Okay, thank you, Bishop Jonathon. Right, just indulge me for a minute. If I could have my first slide on screen. This is one of my all-time heroes. He's dead now. He's not in fancy dress. Okay. I wonder if you know who it is. He's not that well known. He's a chap called Robert Raikes. And he was the founder of the Sunday school movement. In 1780, no children went to Sunday school in this country. By 1788, 600,000 children went to Sunday school in this country. And by 1830, the adult population in church had doubled. I don't know what your reaction is to those figures, but I find them absolutely staggering. Why am I mentioning them to you this evening? What have they got to do with Safe Families for Children? I think Robert Raikes identified a real need, the need for an education. I think he met it at a local level in a way that could be repeated all over the country and in a way that could be sustained. And I want to put it to you tonight that Safe Families for Children can do exactly the same for our generation, for children who are at risk of going into care. I think Safe Families for Children is the equivalent need for our generation. Why do I think that? Okay, 93,000 children every year are taken into care in the UK, of which 43% then end up in the criminal justice system, and once they end up in that system, 70% reoffend. If only we could intervene early and stop that. And you might say, well, that's the national problem, but we're Southampton and Highfield, we're nice, we're middle class, it doesn't affect us. We're really wrong. It is a Southampton problem as well. The local council and the council in Portsmouth are already talking to us about Safe Families for Children because they recognise that this is a growing need. They recognise that it just eats their budget. Okay, it's costing them more and more each year, and they want to do something about it. Safe Families for Children, where it started in Chicago, over 10 years it has halved the number of children being taken into care. Halved the number of children. Where it's been going in the northeast for a few years now, it's the most established hub in the country. It is beginning to save the councils millions. Safe Families for Children in the Middlesbrough area alone last year saved Middlesbrough Council £1.5 million. This is a real need, and through Safe Families we can do something about it. It would be easy to look at those statistics and forget that they are children. They are children. Children like somebody I know called Zoe. Zoe is 2. She started off in a normal, stable, loving family environment, but then something went wrong. Life began to unravel. Chaos ensued. And she's now living with her adoptive parents. And her adoptive mum says if only Safe Families for Children had been around, they could have intervened early, they could have supported the family, and Zoe might still be with her natural parents. The heart of Safe Families for Children is about stabilising families. It's about protecting children and stopping children going into care. We're not talking about children already in the system. We're not talking about children at risk of serious abuse. We're talking about those that are vulnerable at a much lower level that social workers, health visitors, school nurses have some concerns about. We're talking early intervention. It would be easy to say, it's a massive problem. Those figures show us that. It's too costly. It's time-consuming. It's very, very tricky. And of course, all of that is true. But what we're talking about here is a local hub that will be part of a national organisation that is tried and tested, a national organisation that takes care of the safeguarding, of the insurance, and of much of the burdensome administration. Interestingly, in the last 10 years, even in America, where it's rolled out in many states, there have been no complaints and no litigation. And I think that speaks volumes. Safe Families puts a team around children. It helps in 3 ways. It creates host families, families who can host vulnerable children for up to 28 nights in a year. It creates family friends, people who will come alongside, who will mentor, support, coach and nurture families, and resource families, families who will help out with resources. Where it's been particularly effective, for example, is where a parent has a chronic illness or is maybe undergoing chemotherapy, and it's been able to step in and look after those children during those difficult weeks where the parent is recovering. It creates a team around children, and one of the reasons the council and the government are very supportive of this is they realise the value of community, and so many of the children that need to benefit from Safe Families for Children lack community. They live often in quite isolation with their family, so there is no one else to step in when they reach crisis point. The other thing that appeals about Safe Families for Children is it has a really sound financial basis to it. It is sustainable. It will cost to set up £100,000. Of that, £50,000 is coming in seed funding from the National Safe Families charity. But we at a local level are being asked to raise £25,000. If we raise £25,000, then Sir Peter Vardy, who is chairman of Safe Families for Children in this country, he will match that. He is the man who saw it in Chicago, saw it rolled out across America and thought, we need that. We need that. This is really his vision. Once everything is established, once the key people are employed, once the partnerships with local councils are in place, it becomes sustainable, because from the second year onwards, it's paid for by the local council. You might think, why on earth would they do that? Why would the council pay for this? Every child in care costs the local council £50,000 a year. Every single child. At a time of cuts, that's a big pot of their money that they are having to ring fence. Safe Families come in, and after the first year when it's been set up, they say, give us £60,000 a year, and we will stop some of those children being taken into care. So the councils recognise that it's credible, that it has a proven track record, that it's reliable, that it's sustainable, and that it's an efficient way of looking after these vulnerable children. And it then means they can prioritise the rest of their resources for the really vulnerable children and make their life outcomes so much better too. When Safe Families comes to an area, it appoints various people. So as well as volunteers, there are paid staff who do some of the local administration, paid staff to be the interface with the local council, people with a social work background that really understand the complexities and the sensitivities involved, and also a paid member of staff to work with volunteers in the community and in churches. So this is the model that they have in America and that they have in all the other regional hubs across our nation. And it's the model that we're proposing to bring to our city. Now, you might say, okay, what's this got to do with us? And this is where I'm going to be blunt. I think it has everything to do with Highfield Church. Safe Families are looking for a catalyst church in this city. And I think we should be it. Why do I think we should be it? I think we should be it for reasons of geography. Okay? We are not in the most deprived areas of the city. Therefore, we can be a safe place and a place of refuge when these children come to us. I think we should be it for reasons of demography. We have lots and lots of families here. Lots of resources, lots of families who can mentor. But more than that, we have lots of mature adults. We have lots of retired people, people working part-time, people with wisdom and life experience who can be that safe, caring, nurturing pair of hands. I would trust you guys with some of the vulnerable children of our city. I also think this is an area where size does matter. We are the biggest Anglican church in our city. And I think this is one of the times when we can step up because of our size and say, we will lead the way here. And finally, I think we should step up because our vocation statement calls us to. We talk about embracing Portswood and loving Southampton. And this is a way that we can do just that and impact so many families. So, in a few weeks' time, we will be having a gift day for Safe Families for Children. In this area, we need to raise £25,000 to bring it to our city. Our hope is that money will be in place by April, so that we can recruit those key people to form this team around these vulnerable families, and so that we can start working with them in the autumn. So here's where I want to end. A picture of somebody, a parent, pushing a child in a pushchair. A really common everyday sight. You'll see it up and down Portswood High Street every day of the week. The next time you see a parent pushing a buggy in the high street, just think to yourself, what would happen if that family ran into crisis? Who would support them? Maybe they're not members of a church. The answer is, if we form a Safe Families for Children hub in this city, they would get supported. If we become a Safe Families church, we can support them. If you become a Safe Families volunteer, maybe God will use you to support them. But for that to be possible, unfortunately, we need to ask for your money. So please, 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 would you pray over the next few weeks that £25,000 would be found so that we can support really vulnerable children and families in our city. We're not talking about a drop in the ocean here. We're talking about making a massive difference. We're talking about a lake, okay? And we could help to make that difference. We could do so much more working in partnership with Safe Families than we can on our own. Thank you.